welcome to Crafternoons. I'm Rebecca, and today I'm going to be walking you through the steps to make your own tin can lantern. This lesson is inspired by an exhibition that'll be in Hopkins Hall Gallery in July. The exhibition is titled I Can See Clearly Now, and it's an experimental exhibition in which the artists layer, puncture, and weave together everyday materials that viewers can look through. Using a similar approach of reimagining ordinary materials, today we'll learn how to turn a tin can into a beautiful lantern that can help us see clearly in the dark or just be enjoyed for the unique illuminating designs. Here are the materials that you'll want to gather for this project. The first thing you'll need is a tin can. This can be a soup can or any other tin can that you can find around the house. So you're going to want to rip off any labels that are on your can and also make sure that you wash it out well. You'll also need a hammer and a nail. I would suggest having a pair of gloves on hand, as well as a washable marker. And the last thing you may need is a towel or blanket on a sturdy surface or on the floor that you can use to support your tin can while you're working. To begin, you'll take your cleaned off tin can and fill it all the way to the top with water. Then, once it's all the way filled up, you can move your can into a freezer. The reason we're doing this is because the ice will help the can retain its shape as you hammer in holes for your lantern. It may take some time for the ice to freeze. I had mine in the freezer overnight, so make sure you allow yourself some time for this step. Once the water is frozen, you can remove the can from the freezer. So as you can see, the water is fully frozen in my can, and I've set it up somewhere secure on this blanket on top of a sturdy table. That way it won't move while I'm working. To plan out my design, I'm using a washable marker directly on the can. This will allow me to make guidelines to use while I'm hammering, and because it's washable, it'll easily wipe off once I'm finished. As you can see, I'm drawing the outline of a tree for my design, and I'm wearing gloves because the can is pretty cold to the touch. Once my planning is done, I'm ready to start making holes in my lantern. To do this, I'll hold a nail in one hand and the hammer in the other. I'll place my nail where I want a hole, and then gently tap the nail head. The ice inside the tin can makes it so you don't have to hammer very hard to make a hole. Be sure to place your fingers towards the middle of the nail, not near the nail head when you're hammering, just as a safety precaution. You also might be able to use tweezers to hold the nail for you while you hammer. That way your fingers are out of the way. And now I'll continue along, fully filling in my design. I chose to first make an outline of my tree, going along the edge of my drawing. As I was working, I smeared some of my outlines because my hand was rubbing over top of them. So right now I'm taking a tissue and wiping off that washable marker. I'm going to go in and redraw my outlines so that they're clearer. So just be aware that this can happen, and you may need to readjust as you're working. And now, once I have the outline of my tree complete, I'm going to go in and fill in the tree trunk. And then my tree design is complete. Now, on the other side of my can, I'm going to show you some other strategies you can use to plan out your design. One thing you can do is create a template. That way, if your marker smears off while you're working, it's very easy to redraw your design. So here I made a heart and I'm just tracing that design onto the surface. Another thing you can do is secure your template to the can using string or wire. This allows you to avoid any smearing of a marker and to work directly from the template. So I wrapped my wire so that it lay in one of the grooves of the can and wrapped it around the back of the can. So then my template is secure. The last strategy you can use is to nail directly into your template to hold it into place. It might be a little bit difficult at first to get it situated, but once you have that held securely, you can nail in. See, mine's kind of bouncing around a bit. So it may take a few attempts to get it fully held into place, but I put one nail at the top, and then I'll put another one at the bottom. So now I can check to make sure my nails are secure, my paper template is secure, and then I can take another nail and start to make the other holes to fill in my template. And then once I've filled in my template, I can take out the nails and I'll have my finished shape. You can also experiment with using something other than a nail to make holes in your lantern. Here I used a screwdriver and hammered that in lightly, and it made a star-like indentation on the surface. So these indentations have 4 points, unlike the ones I made with the nail that are just a rounded circle. Also note that the harder you hit the nail, the bigger the hole you'll create. This also means that if you hit it lightly, you can create smaller holes. So this allows you to create variety of different sizes within your design. Feel free to move your can around so that you can work from the most comfortable angle. If you need to take a break from hammering, or notice the ice is starting to melt, you can stick the tin can back in the freezer and come back to work on it when it's refrozen. If the ice fully melts, you can always refill the can with water and freeze it again. Once you have a design you're satisfied with, you can sit the can somewhere to let the ice melt fully. This could be in a sink or a bucket, anywhere where the water won't get onto anything important. You also have the option of running the can under hot water to speed up the ice melting process. As you can see, I turn the can on its side so the water will go through the holes and melt the ice from that angle. And I also run the water over the top of the can. After about 5 minutes, the ice began to loosen, and I was eventually able to dump it out of the can. Be careful not to reach inside of the can when you're trying to remove the ice, because where you hammered in the holes will be kind of spiky. You're still able to safely remove the ice without reaching inside. So now comes the exciting part. You can place a light source. I would suggest a battery-operated candle or some other LED battery operated light inside of your lantern to see your design illuminated. Again, be careful not to reach inside the can because the holes will have sharp edges. I would advise just turning the can on its side or dropping the battery operated candle in and out as opposed to reaching in. One last thing you can do, and I would suggest doing when you still have ice, is to add a handle. So this is optional, but if you want to hang your lantern somewhere, you can simply make 2 holes near the top on opposite sides across from each other. Then you can put a wire or a string through the holes to make a handle. I hope you enjoyed creating your lantern and making this fun summer project. We'll see you at our next Crafternoons.